The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
It's coming.
All these voices.
They're not yours. You had no right to them when you were alive, and you have no right to them when you're dead. That's what it sounded like. Good, you know who I am. And you know I'm not playing. You're going to let those women go. In Jesus' name, you're going to let those women go.
Is there a demon here watching us right now? Watching us right now.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Staring into the Abyss. I am your host, horror author James Hershey Jr., and with me as always my co-host, old boy James Ash. How you doing, brother?
What is up, Misfits? How's your evening?
Alright, so tonight's episode is going to be different. I guess different is kind of an understatement of what tonight's episode is going to be. It's going to be about a topic that we've never really actually covered on Staring. We used to talk about this sometimes on We're Screwed back in those days and the Revolution Radio days, but since we started doing Staring, we really haven't talked about this much. And first, let me tell you how this kind of came about. Me and old boy were texting back and forth because we messaged each other quite a bit. And we were just talking about show ideas and things that we wanted to do. And all of a sudden I got this idea of like the dark side of wrestling, how the wrestling business has had so many horrible things that have happened. And it's almost like they're cursed or something. And then I was like, I wonder, are they cursed, or is it the topics that they deal with? How they have that dark supernatural theme on a lot of the storylines and a lot of wrestlers. People like The Undertaker and Bray Wyatt and those kind of things, Kane. Is it that, or is it something else? So that kind of got us to thinking and talking. And I said, you know what, let's do this as a show. Let's do this as an episode, because I find it very interesting. He found it very interesting, and we figured if we found it interesting, maybe you would find it interesting as well. Now, full disclosure, we are both lifelong wrestling fans. Old boy is a much bigger wrestling fan than I am, though. I am primarily WWE. That's what I watch. I like WWE. I watched it since I was a little kid. I saw Hulk Hogan beat the Iron Sheik in Madison Square Garden for the belt, for the title. So that's how far back I go. But it's been primarily WWF, now it's WWE, for my whole life. I've tried watching other brands. I've watched a little bit of AEW. I've watched a little bit of WCW back in the day. I went to a TNA show where I met Jeff Hardy and got in the ring with him. That was a really cool experience. If I remember correctly, maybe I'll put that picture that we took in the ring together as the thumbnail for this video, possibly, if I can find it and if I remember. But for the most part, it's been just WWF and then WWE now for most of my life. That's what I enjoy watching. I just can't get into the other as much. Now, old boy, he watches it all. I mean, he watches everything. I did watch some world-class wrestling back in the day with the Von Erichs, back when I was real little. I really liked the Von Erichs as well, so that was a lot of fun. But since he is such a huge wrestling fan, I think it would only be proper, even though it's my week and it was kind of my idea for the show, it would only be proper to defer to old boy to start this one off and let him have his complete time, however much time he wants. And then I'll come back after and give my opinion on everything and talk a little bit. But I think his knowledge of wrestling as a whole is greater than mine. I've watched my whole life. Don't get me wrong. I know a lot about wrestling. I'm a big fan. But he watches everything. So I think what we'll do is we'll go to him first, and then I'll be back after. So if you love wrestling, you're going to love this show. It's going to be great. If you're not a wrestling fan at all, if you don't like wrestling and you think it's stupid and it's a soap opera and all that kind of stuff, that's fine. You can think that. I don't think any less of you. But give the show a chance anyway, because it's going to be very interesting regardless, because I'm going to be talking about whether there's some sort of active curse, or whether it's the lifestyle that these people live, or the themes that they dabble in, all those kind of things. So it'll still be an interesting paranormally kind of show for you guys. So with that being said, I'm going to throw over to Old Boy so that he can start us off, and then I'll be back after he's done. So Old Boy, go ahead, brother.
So I hope you guys enjoy. This episode is coming to you, misfits and motherfuckers, sugar ladies, demon lovers, and monster hunters. We love you. This one's going to be a little bit different. It's dark side of wrestling. As you know, I'm a big WWE and AEW fan. And I like the independent circuits like Ring of Honor, Impact, New Japan, and AA Wrestling. If you see the shirt, it's the Wyatt family. Back in the day when Brody, rest in peace, and I think it's Rollins right there. It's hard to see with the sheep face. Bray's one of my favorite wrestlers, no surprise. And we're going to talk about the tragedies and some of the dark side of wrestling, and even wrestling altogether. And I know, what the hell does this have to do with paranormal? Pretty much fucking nothing. Some of it does. The show part of it, like the Wyatt family, it does have a little bit of the Undertaker, and it has a lot of tragedy and a lot of conspiracy theories, so it does run into that. So here's what I'm going to say, guys. So, the first one, you know where it's going. It's going to go to Benoit eventually, so you guys know it. So if you get offended, I understand. Let's get into it. In a couple things I'm going to talk about. And I'm going to talk about Owen. I'm a big WWE and AEW fan. Mostly that's what I watch all the time. My wife is a big fan. I really like the dark characters, like the House of Black, Malachi Black, or Aleister Black in the WWE before he left. The Wyatt family, Bray Wyatt, The Fiend. My favorite character right now, but even though he hasn't been on for a while, The Undertaker was my absolute favorite. I love the Taker, and there's a lot of reasons to that. I was going some bad times in my life, and I know a lot of wrestling fans has the same thing to say. He helped me a lot when I was, and it not personally, it just, when I was a teenager and I was in junior high and regular elementary, I got picked on really bad. And that's why I am who I am now. No one picks on me now, trust me. That would be a bad day for you. Other than that being said, is that The Undertaker's character I fell in love with. And I'm still in love with. My favorite of all time. Even though I love Bray, and he's a genius, the stuff he brings and comes up with in that crazy fucking mind of his. He's a Gemini. Yes, I'm a Gemini on the Cancer cusp. So I have a little bit of Cancer in me because I'm June 21st. First day of summer. Less it's sleep year. I think it's the 20th. Sometimes the 22nd. It's weird. June 20th, whatever. But it was a very dark character. And what's crazy is he's a born-again Christian now. But at the time, some of it, later on, he was, but later on, before that, he wasn't. He was in a clique. I think it's BSK. He has it on his neck, or he used to, and now he's got it on his stomach. And that was a clique with, I think it was Yokozuna, The Godfather, Taker. You guys ever watched Minion? Who else was in it? Yokozuna, Rikishi was in it, and some of his family members. And they were just like his clique, and you didn't mess with these fucking people, man, because you know the Samoan family, dude. Yokozuna's in that family. Haku is I don't know if you ever hear the stories. Haku is a motherfucker. King Haku, Ming. That guy was a fucking badass. Go look at the stories about him. Flair, Taker, everyone has talked about Ming. Don Fry from the UFC, Brock Lesnar. God, they were even talking about him on Joe Rogan. Dude, that guy was a beast, dude. He fucked people up. Like, he used that fucking claw. He was a black belt. And he's like the nicest guy till you piss him off. And he regrets it. He said it. They used to make him put people in line in WCW. And he said it was stupid. He admitted it. Some of the stuff he did was... But people regret. But, yeah, you don't fuck with that dude. He fuck you up. Break your jaw. He beat cops up. Like, Flair talks about it. Everybody talks about the Steiner brothers. The Barbarian was a badass. He talks about what he did. He was a fucking nightmare if you pissed him off. Like I said, he was a fucking monster. You didn't fuck with that dude. Just like you didn't fuck with The Undertaker. The Undertaker's a badass dude. Like, he used to, like, collect money for certain people before he was a wrestler. 6'8", 6'9", 300 pounds. He was a bad motherfucker. Brock Lesnar. You know, we all know about Lesnar. He was in the UFC, wrestler. He's a bad dude, bro. I've heard a lot of things about it, guys. Guys, so, you know, he was someone you didn't mess with either. And even though he wasn't, you know, he wasn't the best puncher in the world. He took some beatings, dude. Before he got sick, he was a badass. He gets you on the ground, you were fucked. Some of these guys were real badasses. Scott Steiner was a badass. His brother was a badass. These guys were rough dudes. The Road Warriors, LOD, Legion of Doom, Hawk and Animal, were always fighting and beating people up. A lot of these guys are real. Tank Abbott, he used to wrestle too. He used to be in the UFC. He was a dickhead, but he ain't no one you want to mess with. He'd knock you out, dude. And then, you know, he just doesn't like people. But back to the dark side of it, that's what I'm a big fan of. James loves wrestling too. I love that whole supernatural thing. That's why it comes into the paranormal. I'll get into the other stuff in a minute or two. So I know you guys all watched the New World Order, and some people have a problem with that because of the biblical stuff. They were saying that they were mocking God. So there's another thing, the whole NWO with, you know, and I'm a for life. Hey, yo. Razor Ramon, or a.k.a. Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, a.k.a. The Diesel, Hulk Hogan, Hollywood Hogan, Bischoff, X-Pac, and all the other ones that were involved. The Wolfpack with Sting, Luger, and all them, red and white. That I used to love it, but they had, and Sting too. He was like kind of the Crow kind of character because the Crow was really popular back then. It was another dark side, especially Taker. He represented death. Satanic. At one time he was doing the Ministry of Darkness. That was very satanic. Had a satanic feel to it. Bray Wyatt. A lot of crazy satanic hillbilly kind of Texas Chainsaw Massacre family. Then he went to the Fiend and had the Funhouse, Firehouse. That's very, you know, he has a lot of satanic images and stuff like that. He says he's in hell. Very unique character. One of my favorites, man. I love him. It's a mind bender, dude. Like, he's different. Just like the House of Black. Malachi Black, he was called Black Tom on the indie scene. He was, you know, Alistair, Malachi, whatever, Alistair Black, sorry, not Malachi Black, Alistair Black, in the WWE, but he is I think he's a Satanist in real life. He has a lot of stuff, tattoos representing he's really into the religion. He also has his own label. He was doing stuff with Black Craft for a while, but he did his own label now. So check him out. His clothing is badass, dude. If you're religious, you're probably going to get offended. But that's not for you then. Let's get into some of the tragedies now. A lot of steroid use. A lot of, you know, Hulk Hogan, Vince McMahon, they were in Congress talking about this because there was a lot of steroids. A lot of wrestlers died. And most of it was because of steroids. There's been some tragedies. Those are what we're going to get into in a couple minutes. But, you know, Crush dying. Hogan was on steroids. Eddie Guerrero did steroids before he had a heart attack, but they think some of that was cause of that. Multiple wrestlers. I know Lex Luger's got cancer now, but I know he was doing steroids. Piper was doing steroids. Ravishing Rick Rude, the Ultimate Warrior, he ended up dying of a heart attack, but they said he was doing roids all the time. Look at his character. Guy looked like he was fucking smoking 10 bowls of meth and drinking 20 cups of coffee and run to the ring. A lot of people did steroids and they died, man, and it's sad. Then you have the tragedies. Owen Hart falling from the ring. And they just did the Owen Hart tournament AEW, and Ricky Starks won, and Willow won the female version of it. And just recently, last week, I think it was. And it was pretty cool for Owen, because I know he hasn't got the respect he should. I heard when he was falling, 80, 90 feet, that he didn't even care about himself. He was telling people to watch out. They didn't want them to get hurt. And I heard he was a really good guy. And it was really funny. And it's so sad to hear that. Because I remember that night when he was flying out and then they cut to it because he had fell and he was in the ring. And that was a really sad moment for wrestling. And I know some of you guys probably seen it and heard about it. I know there was a video going around. They took it off the internet of him laying on the ground of what happened. Somebody actually recorded it back then. I guess they had a video recorder. Somebody actually got it. It was when those were first coming out. And it was really sad how the WWE handled it at the time. And that's why AEW did what they did. I mean, I know the WWE had a tribute but there's stuff behind it with his wife that she said that they acted funny. McMahon didn't act right. And that's hearsay, and I'm not going to say it's true or not true. But you could see, because the AEW is still talking about it. WWE talks about it to a point. They know it's a tragedy, but they just do what they have to do for the bare minimum. Owen Hart, and the way Brett even has said it, that's why has his opinion with the WWE. And AEW, my opinion is, have only been around for less than 5 years and are already doing something that says a lot. And Owen was a great person, was very funny. He was probably going to be something. I don't know what the hell was the whole blue blazer, the blue blazer. I think that was the blue blazer. How ridiculous that character was, because Owen had a good character, the King of Hearts. Him and his brother wrestled. He beat his brother. He won the Intercontinental Championship. He had a tag team with Jim Anvil Neidhart, and he won a couple tag teams with him. I think at least once. And then they start doing this blue blazer crap. And back then they did stuff like that in the 90s, coming out like they did with Shawn Michaels. And Shawn Michaels said he was scared as hell in WrestleMania when he was sliding down that 120 feet. So that's what it was, a routine, and it broke. And like I said, there's a lot of conspiracies about what happened. I don't think they killed him, but they said there was malfunctions. They knew it wasn't working right. They still did it. He shouldn't have been up there in the first place. That being said, it happened, and it's a sad tragedy. It's sad for the people who were actually there when it happened and he died. I remember on pay-per-view we were sad, and they still made him do it. They should have shut that down. That was another thing. A lot of people, the guy just had passed away and you kept wrestling going. You should have canceled the show. Sorry, I know there's a lot of money you're going to lose, but it doesn't matter. That show should have got canceled. That was ridiculous that was going on. So I get it. I know his wife has a lot to say about it. The Hart family, that's another thing. That's a very tragic family. Stu passed away, but his brother died. Jim the Anvil Neidhart died I know he was doing steroids. Jason Kidd, he was married to Natalia. He can't wrestle yet. I think he broke his neck. The British Bulldogs, Davey Boy Smith, he died too, and a lot of it was because of steroids. A lot of his family members passed. The tragedy with Owen. Bret Hart had a lot of issues and stuff like that, and went through a divorce. He got remarried, and he's doing better. I think he had a stroke too, because I know there's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of his family members. His other brother died of something too. I don't know if he was killed tragically or something. Something happened with him too. The Von Erichs, another one, another weird. So I think there's one or two of them left, but the other one, they A couple of them killed themselves. The other one was murdered, I think. They have some kind of curse. They talk about that. Texas tornado, Kerry Von Erich, he killed himself. I know the other one killed himself. Keith, I think, killed himself. And the couple other one, they just have a bunch of tragedy. I don't know all of them. I don't want to say the names because I know one or two of them are still around. But they have a lot of tragedy. There's a couple other ones there that have a lot. There's like, they call it the Von Erich curse. I've seen the documentary about it. Very weird story. Brilliant wrestling family. The one that started the Claw. But I don't know. They had a lot of depression, a lot of bad things. Jake the Snake Roberts. He's changed a lot, but he was a very crazy, messed up individual. Check out some of the stuff about him. Used to do a lot of drugs. He said I watched a documentary. His kid's not really in his life. I don't know anymore. I know he's changed and went to God and he's changed his life. I know he met a new woman, but he said it like he was with other fucking women and like he couldn't be normal, like in a normal marriage. You got used to certain things and you know how that goes. And you don't get satisfied with just one woman. 3 or 4 women's not enough. Drugs, it's not enough. And he has a lot of demons. He said the documentary said his grandfather raped his mother and that's how he was born. So he has a lot of fucked up things happen and somebody in his family killed his mother and they wouldn't tell him, his sister was murdered and the guy won't tell him where the body's at. Just a lot of tragedy happened to him. It's another one you need to check out. And this one I'm going to come up. I know there's going to be some shit on this one. And I'll get to that, guys. Chris Benoit. I know this is going to piss some people off and I don't give a fuck. You can leave your comments, but do your research. Don't listen to some bullshit that you keep hearing about. Kevin Sullivan had him. He didn't. He was alive after they were dead. Chavo Guerrero talked to him the next day. It's a proven fact. It was fucking documented. Quit trying. That's one. I know that's a conspiracy. Kevin Sullivan didn't. I know that was his ex-wife. He didn't kill him. He had alibis was 17 to 1,800 miles away. That's bullshit, dude. Chavo Guerrero said Chris Benoit called him the next day. He like there was nothing going on. And he was live even after that, like 2 or 3 days after he killed the wife and his kid. That had, I think he was handicapped. I'm not going to get into how he killed him in respect of the people who were murdered, because people don't have that respect, because, he should be in the Hall of Fame. No, doesn't matter and I get it, he had brain injuries. I know that's come out. You still know what you're doing. I know he was doing steroids. I get it. You still know what you're doing. He was mad because she was going to leave him. It's a proven fact. He was abusive and he did some horrible things. And what he did with his son, and this is why I love Paul Heyman, because he fucking said it best. Fuck you. If you not once does anybody ever say about the wife and child. They only care about some people who actually defend Chris Benoit and think in their mind that the WWE is ever going to put him in any kind of fucking Hall of Fame. It's never going to happen, especially this day and age, the way people get offended. People hate that dude. Whatever your opinion is one way or another, that's fine. And I know somebody's going to go and say something. They think they know everything and they have the conspiracy theory. Most of this shit is bullshit, dude. The point is, they're not going to put him in there. I don't care what conspiracy theory you have. It's not going to change what he did. And it's disrespectful to the kid and the mother for you even to think that. Where you don't even care. Well, I'm respectful. It's sad to kill the kid, but he should be in there. Sorry, not at all. What he did, that cancels that. That's it. It'd be like, oh, well, I'm a multi-millionaire and I do a show on TV, but hey, I murdered 20 people, but I should still make the movie Hall of Fame and get Oscars. No, that's not how it works, dude. I'm sorry, and I don't care what you're gonna say and all this and that and some stupid science project some theory that somebody had. The truth is there. They've investigated it. The point is, I don't feel sorry for Chris Benoit at all. I feel sorry for his family. Like, I know his son is trying to get back in, and I know because of his name that it's very hard because because of what happened. It's not his fault. I think it's David Benoit. It's not his fault. I know he was at AEW. I know the WWE won't even touch him. And it's not his fault. It's because of his dad. I think that was from his first marriage. I know he was married before, and that's his son, and I think he has a daughter too. And not disrespect for them, he didn't do anything. The point is, and it's sad because he should. I don't think he should use that name because of what happened, because people are going to go after him because of his dad. And it wasn't his fault. That's one thing I will defend. That's bullshit because it wasn't his fault. You shouldn't pay for the fathers of the sin. The sins of the father. The sins of the father, sorry guys. And I know people have... Chris Benoit was a hell of a wrestler, one of the best of all time. He was a good guy. I liked him. He was a good guy in wrestling to what happened. But then coming to find out, he wasn't a good guy sometimes. He had a very bad temper, and he did steroids, and he was very abusive to his wife. So, in a personal life, he wasn't a good guy. Great wrestler, but so what? He deserves to be in hell, if there is one. I'm just staying in theory. Or whatever's happening to him. Maybe nothing. Maybe. But I hope he is. And I feel sorry for the families. Because he ruined people's lives. He ruined everyone's life who was involved. It's sad for the wrestling community because it took a black eye because of it. Because we were already having issues with the steroids and the suicides and stuff like that, and Owen's death. To have that happen was a real black eye. And, you know, with the steroid use with Vince McMahon and Hulk Hogan, and Sting was involved, and back in the day, telling on people doing steroids just like Jose Canseco did, that gave us a real black eye. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say you're a stupid person for believing whatever. Believe whatever you want conspiracy-wise, but that's my opinion. I don't care if you don't like it. I don't care. I don't give a flying fuck. Really. You're going to have your opinions, I'm going to have mine. And you're not a bad person. I'm not going to get, I have something to get mad and you're going to cry about it and block me. I don't care. Be a bitch. That's what a lot of people do. Tough over the internet. But it isn't that big of a deal. I don't know why people get upset. I get you going to have an opinion and you get passionate about it, but you get to the point where people, like, I said something about Willy Wonka in a theory I had, and people flipped out about it. And even got mad and blocked me. And one lady got crazy, and I had to block her over. It was over a movie, dude. People get too much fandom. I do want to do a show about fandom because there's too many fanatics who I think they need to go get help because sometimes they get too crazy about this stuff where they kill people. It's insane. That being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Please leave your comments. We'd love to hear from you. Especially if you like wrestling. I know James loves wrestling, so I know he's going to have plenty to say, especially what I've been fucking saying. So I hope you guys enjoyed. And that being said, there you go, brother. I hope you have a lot to say, and I know you do. There you go.
Thank you, brother. So, as always, old boy did things in his old boy style. A lot of information there. Some things that I didn't know. I'll touch on a few of the things that he talked about. We'll just start off with the worst one of all. The one that is the quote-unquote trigger warning. The one that people are going to get all pissy about. The Benoit thing. I was a big fan of Chris Benoit when he wrestled. I thought he was very, very talented, and I really enjoyed watching him. I understand the people that say that he should be in the Hall of Fame, even though what happened. I can understand that. I see where they're coming from. I was a huge Chris Benoit fan, okay? Full disclosure. I loved his wrestling. The problem I have is when you do what he did, there's just no coming back from that, you know? First of all, let me say there's just no way in hell that WWE is ever going to put him in the Hall of Fame. It's just not going to happen. No matter what anybody says, it's not going to happen. Because it's toxic. You know, there's just no way. It's disrespectful as hell to the family. And there's just no way that they'd ever let that happen. Plus, it's a PR nightmare. You know, and they're trying to cover their ass because they want everybody to watch. And they're kind of a corporation now. They're kind of like a family-friendly kind of company. So it's not going to happen. This isn't the Attitude Era, okay? It's not going to work. That being said, should Chris Benoit go in the Hall of Fame? If you're judging strictly by wrestling, then there's a case to be made, but you just can't leave the other out. Now, there's a lot of people that say that what he did was a combination of drug use, steroid use, other drug use probably, and the fact that he had so many concussions. You see that with football players, you see that with boxers, you see that with a lot of people that are in combat, contact kind of sports, to where they take so many blows to the head that it kind of messes them up. And there's a whole medical thing we can go into, but by now you guys already know that. You know what it does to the brain. You know that it causes aggression. It causes almost like a form of insanity because you don't even really know what you're doing sometimes when you're like that. There's been cases of ex-football players that have literally just disappeared. And they end up wandering around somewhere, lost, and they have no idea where they are or what's going on. And they have to go get them and bring them back because they're just not in their right mind anymore. Saying that does not in any way excuse what he did. It may be the reason. It may not be the reason. I don't know. I'm not him. I'm not his family. I wasn't there. I wasn't there for all of the stuff that happened. So I don't know. And I'm not going to excuse away somebody who killed his kid and his wife. I'm just not going to do that. So as much of a fan as I was of his wrestling, I am not for him being included in the Hall of Fame. And is that fair? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, you can have your opinion on that. It's not an easy thing for me to sit here and say. Because, I mean, if you judge it just on pure wrestling, he should be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Easily. He was amazing. But, like I said, man, you can't distinguish the two. So, that's out of the way. So now I've talked about that, I don't have to talk about that anymore. So I can kind of get into the theme of kind of what I wanted to cover tonight. Is it a curse that the business is under that makes all of these wrestlers turn out badly? Is that what it is? Is it the fact that they dabble in Satanism and a lot of their themes are either overtly or at least subliminally satanic? That's the question. I don't think there's a curse. Let's start off by saying that. Let's dismiss that. I don't believe that there's a curse. Could it be a little bit of kind of what they're getting into? Some. I mean, that's going to... Dabbling in the supernatural like that, dabbling in Satanism, dabbling in the occult and the darkness like that is going to open up doorways. It's going to open you up to demonic influence. So you're going to have demons that are going to be attaching to you. You're going to be dealing with that kind of stuff in your life. And that always ends in tragedy. I don't think that's 100% what it is. I think a lot of it has to do with drugs. And I'm not really talking about alcohol, marijuana, cocaine, those kind of things. Although, if you are a fan of wrestling and you read all the books that they write, because a lot of these wrestlers will write books about their time when they wrestled and the stuff that they did. And I've read most of them because I really enjoy them. And it's kind of cool to get that kind of backstage inside view of what goes on in the business. But if you read those books, then you will know that drug use was rampant at one time in the business. I mean, rampant. And then on top of that, you have widespread steroid use. Steroid use to the point where you almost have to be on steroids just to keep your spot, just to compete. Because everybody's doing it. Everybody is so big and massive, and you almost got to do it. So you got that component as well. With steroids comes rage, it comes loss of control, it comes aggression, pure and simple. Like Cena said when he started off, ruthless aggression, right? So you have that. Okay, and also one of the primary drugs that are used by these guys are opioids, pain pills. In the beginning, for most wrestlers, it's not taking those things to get high or taking those things to feel good. It's simply taking them to function, because you can say that wrestling is fake, but wrestling is not fake. Wrestling is scripted, yes. The winners are predetermined. They know what moves they're going to do because they communicate in the ring to keep each other relatively safe. But the things they do are real. I mean, they get hit with real chairs. They get hit with real ladders. When they jump off of the top turnbuckle onto somebody, there's real impact that happens. Now, the way they land is safe for the guy on the bottom. The guy that's jumping and landing on top is taking all of the impact. But that a hell of a lot of impact on your knees, your elbows, your arms. So there's a lot of actual physicality and actual physical damage and injuries that happen in wrestling. So most of these people, because they are on the road like 300 days a year wrestling. Because, see, people think, okay, SmackDown, Raw, and then the pay-per-views, that's what they do. But there's all kinds of house shows in between that where they're going almost every night in wrestling. So a lot of the guys say that they're on the road for 300 days a year at least. So when you're doing it that much, taking that kind of impact night after night after night, you're going to have injuries. And you don't have any time to stop and heal when you have an injury, if it's not a major injury. Because if you take time off the road, you lose your spot. Somebody else takes your spot, and then it's hell trying to get back in and get back to where you were. So these people will perform hurt. They'll go out there hurt, and they'll still put on a show because they don't want to lose their spot. So with injuries like that, with that kind of grueling, horrible schedule, you got to do something to get rid of the pain. Now, in the days before pain pills were a big thing, it was a lot of drinking and a lot of smoking marijuana. If you listen to the Iron Sheik, God rest his soul, he passed recently, so rest in peace, Sheiky baby. If you listen to him, I mean, he talks all about how he drank and smoked pot to help deal with that pain that he was in for so many years. And it destroyed his life. And that's what alcohol and drugs do. They destroy your life. But nowadays, there's just a plethora of opioids that are available by prescription from doctors for pain. So a lot of these guys get on pain medication. And one thing about opioids is they're extremely addicting. And once you're on them for any kind of extended period of time, it's kind of hard to get back off of them. You go through withdrawal, and it's rough. And if you're wrestling and you're in pain a lot, it's not going to get better unless you take time. And they're not going to take the time because they don't want to lose their spot. So they use those pills to get by, to keep going, to feel better. But unfortunately, they have a pretty detrimental effect to their health and their psyche, and it just makes things really, really bad for them. So you got that going on. One great example of that is Jeff Hardy. Now, Jeff Hardy, I love Jeff Hardy. He is not only a hell of a wrestler, but he is a hell of a person. He is a really, really good person. I had the pleasure to actually get to talk to Jeff and to kind of hang out with him a little bit at a show. And he was such a kind and loving and generous person. And it just blew me away how amazing he was. And it's sad to see the way his life has turned out because of pain medication, because of opioids. You know, I mean, he's on them because the stuff that he does is so extreme and so crazy that he hurts himself a lot to put on a show for all of us. And it sucks to see him go through the addiction and go through all of the bad times. Because, see, nowadays, unlike the old days, there's what's called the wellness program. And the wellness program is where they are brought in for random tests. And they have to show up and urinate on demand for a test whenever they say so. And so it's a lot harder now to be on all the kinds of drugs that you used to be on. I mean, you still have the pain medication, but the other drugs are kind of what gets you. You know, that's why RVD kind of stopped wrestling. RVD was a spectacular talent, but RVD just loved weed, and he did not want to give it up. He didn't think he had to give it up because he was still a world-class athlete on it, and there was no reason that he had to stop. At that time, it was illegal, and at that time, everybody's view of marijuana was a lot different than it is now. So, unfortunately, that ended up kind of costing him a lot of good years of his career because he just refused to stop. And I'm not saying he should have stopped because, I mean, I know people that smoke a lot of marijuana and it helps them immensely. It helps with pain. It helps with mental illness. It helps with all kinds of things. It's a beneficial thing for a lot of people. This is not medical advice, so don't take my word as gospel on this. I'm not a doctor. All I'm telling you is what I have seen, it's helped people. But RVD, that ended up costing him his career because he didn't want to stop. So you got drugs, and you've got steroids, and you've got the concussion issue. That's another thing to talk about. These guys take a lot of shots to the head with steel chairs, and into the turnbuckle, into the ring post, into the stairs outside. They take a lot of shots to the head. So with those shots to the head comes concussions, and with too many concussions comes traumatic brain injuries, and with traumatic brain injuries comes loss of control, aggression issues, acting out in violent ways, all kinds of crazy stuff. So that is partially responsible as well. So you got opening themselves up to demonic influence through the satanic characters, satanic storylines, delving into the darkness, right? Now, a lot of that is just for show. You know, a lot of those guys, that's their character, but they're not like that in real life. Yes, they may be a little bit goth. Yes, they may be a little bit like badass, as Old Boy said. But they're not actually satanic, most of them. Some are. You know, he mentioned Alistair Black, or whatever that dude's name. I don't know who that dude is. But he mentioned him. Kevin Sullivan is a perfect example of that. Kevin Sullivan is a Satanist, or at least he was when he was wrestling. He was an actual Satanist. So when you're that kind of person, you are going to attract demonic entities to you because you're worshiping them. So, of course, you're going to bring them to you. Now, you can say, well, a true Satanist doesn't even believe in Satan. All that I've heard all that crap before. I'm telling you, this guy did. He worshipped Lucifer, okay? So whatever definition you have of Satanism doesn't matter as far as what we're talking about. He worshipped the devil, period. So when you do stuff like that, and you play around with those themes, you are going to open doorways that are going to invite these things into your lives. And they're going to cause havoc on you. And that's just the way it is. And I know that that's not going to go over well with some people. I know that there's going to be people that are going to be pissed off that I said that. But that's okay, because I'm going to tell you the truth. I always tell you the truth. Whether you like it or not sometimes, but I always tell you the truth. And the truth is, messing around with the occult, messing around with supernatural things, getting into Satanism, getting into witchcraft, sorcery, all those kind of things open up doorways. And those doorways, when they're open, allow demonic forces into your life. They will attach to you. They will destroy you. So I think that absolutely some of that is happening in the wrestling business. I don't think it's a curse, but I think that it's a combination of everything. And then also, we've got to recognize and say that all of those other things that I mentioned, the drug use, all that kind of stuff, right? They're all byproducts also of demonic influence, because when demons come into your life and they influence you and they attach to you, they cause addiction. They cause a lot of these things. They cause massive pain in the body. The Bible actually called them spirits of pain. And what that is a demonic force, a demonic entity that is attached to you, that is causing that physical pain. So you absolutely have a connection between a lot of the pain issues, a lot of the addiction issues, a lot of the rage and anger issues, back to demonic influence. I mean, yes, you also have steroids. You also have drug use. You also have a lot of things. But it can't be said enough that those things are also results of demonic influence on your life. So, do I think it's a curse? No. Do I think that there is demonic influence on a lot of these wrestlers who are doing the darker stuff? Yes, I absolutely do. Am I downing them for doing the characters? No, not really. I mean, there's a fine line, because with a lot of these guys, like I said before, it's a show. Okay, so it's no different than playing a character in a movie. You can't say, well, you played Freddy Krueger in the movie, Robert Englund, so that means that you're a serial killer or a monster. It's not necessarily the case. You can play a scary villain in a movie and not be a scary villain in real life. These wrestlers that are heels, that are bad guys, a lot of them are very, very nice people in real life. Their job is to be a bad guy. Their job is to make the audience hate them. So that's what they go out there and do. A lot of these supernatural characters, they aren't satanic in real life. They're just playing a character. So I'm not downing them for playing a character. All I'm saying is be aware that does open doorways. So you have to learn how to protect yourself. And you got to be careful. For the ones that are satanic, I mean, you get what you get, man. I mean, I never did understand people that worship demons and worship the devil. To me, it makes no sense. The Bible clearly tells you everything you need to know about demons. The Bible clearly tells you how it's going to end. They're going to lose. So why the hell would you willingly choose the losing side? Just to get a little bit of comfort here on earth, just to get money or just to get fame or whatever here on earth, when you have an eternity of hell to look forward to? That's stupid. I mean, it's just stupid. And I know that ruffles feathers as well, but it's dumb. And there's just no other way to say it. It's a stupid thing to do. And a lot of these people will say, they'll make the excuse, well, I don't believe in God. I don't believe in hell. Well, then what the hell are you worshiping Satan for? That don't make no sense. If you don't believe in hell, why are you worshiping the devil? And then you got Satanists that say, well, we don't even believe in the devil. Then what the hell why are you called a Satanist then? That doesn't make any sense. Why name a religion after Satan if you're not worshiping Satan? So I can't take you seriously anyway because you don't make no damn sense. It's like calling yourself a vegetarian but you don't eat vegetables. Then you're not a vegetarian, dude. You're something else. We're saying, yeah, I'm a carnivore, but I've never eaten meat. Well, if you never eaten meat, how the hell are you a carnivore? You want the name for shock value so everybody thinks, ooh, he's spooky, he's a badass. But in reality, you're just dumb. Because you're calling yourself something that you don't even believe in. That don't make no sense. Anyway, not trying to offend anybody or piss anybody off by saying that. It just, to me, it's never made any damn sense. It's dumb. If you want to be a Satanist and you want to worship the devil, that's your choice. I'm not saying it's the right choice. I think it's the wrong choice. But that is your choice, and you're going to have to pay the price. That's not on me, that's on you. So if you're choosing hell, at least have the courage to own it. You know, don't say, well, yeah, I'm choosing hell, but I don't even believe that hell exists. I don't even believe in Satan, but I'm going to worship him. Or I'm going to have a religion that is called Satanism. It has his name in it, but we don't believe he exists. Don't make no sense. But those people in the wrestling business that are actual Satanists, they're calling it onto themselves. I don't feel sorry for any Satanist that is having issues like that. You know, anybody that has demonic attachments or gets sick or gets, you know, bad things happen to them in their life, when they're bringing it on themselves like that, that's your fault, man. That's on you, you know. Now, I'm not saying I won't try to help you, because I've worked cases with Satanists before that I've had to go in and cast the demons out. But the bad thing is they're back the next day because the idiot still wants to worship Satan. He just doesn't want the bad things to happen to him, right? He doesn't want the sickness. He doesn't want the horrible stuff to happen, but he still wants that cool factor. Look at me, I'm a badass. So I've had to work cases like that. I've had to go and help these people and actually cast the demons out. But they don't ever stay gone, because they come right back because the person wants them there. They invite them back in. So I don't feel any kind of sadness towards those guys, because they're calling it upon themselves. Last thing I'll talk about before I throw back over to Old Boy for his shout-outs and all that is the Owen Hart thing. The Owen Hart thing was sad, you know. That was one of those situations where it was one of those things for the show. You know, coming down on the zip line from the roof, and I mean, it's scary as hell looking. I wouldn't do it. There's no way in hell you'd get me up there. But Shawn Michaels made it famous. He did it all the time, where he would come down from the rooftop on the zip line and land in the ring, and you know, the music blaring and fireworks going off, and it's really, really cool looking. So that's what it was. It wasn't like, you know, doing it to put him in harm's way. It was doing it to make him even bigger than he was, to make him look awesome, you know. But it just sucks that happened. And especially to a guy that Owen backstage was a fun guy, man. He joked around all the time. He was happy. You know, he was a really cool person and a really nice guy. And a lot of people liked him. I mean, he could be mischievous, and he could no-sell you, and he could make you look stupid if he wanted to, just to be a jerk, you know. But for the most part, he was a good dude. You know, great wrestling family, the Hart family. Oh my God. I mean, it's almost like royalty. You got a handful of them that are royalty like that. You know, you got the Harts, you've got all those Samoans, man. Rikishi, Yokozuna, Rocky Johnson. He wasn't Samoan, but he was The Rock's dad. It's the same family, married into it. The Rock, the Usos now, Roman Reigns. That whole family, man, is royalty. It's in their blood. They're amazing. And then you've got a lot of different second and third generation guys like Randy Orton and his dad, Cowboy Bob Orton. You know, you got Cody Rhodes now in the WWE, who his dad, obviously, Dusty Rhodes. You got Charlotte Flair, who dad is Ric Flair, one of the greatest ever, you know. So you got a lot of these dynasties that are kind of over and over and over again. Those families, they're just amazing, amazing. And the Harts are that same kind of lineage, that same kind of mystique. When you hear that name, you're like, whoa, you know, that's going to be good. You don't even have to see the person wrestle yet. You just know, oh, it's a Hart? Oh, hell yeah. This is going to be good, you know. The Von Erichs were like that. The Von Erichs, they had a bad run, but you know, I don't have a whole lot of time left in the show, so I'm not going to really talk about the Von Erichs because that's a long, long show. Maybe if this goes well and you guys want some more wrestling stuff, maybe we'll do a separate thing on the Von Erichs sometime, because that's a lot of tragedy and a lot of weird stuff happened there too. But anyway, that's my take. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know down in the comment section what you think. And with that being said, I'm going to throw over to Old Boy and get his final sum-ups and shout-outs and all that kind of jazz. And then I will be back to wrap up. So, Old Boy, go ahead, brother.
I hope you guys enjoyed this different episode. Tell me what you guys think. If you guys are a wrestling fan, tell us what you think in the comments. We would love to hear from you guys. Remember, no fighting. Yeah, guys, I got off of work today and I didn't feel like doing nothing. So you see my wonderful beard. You guys want to follow us on YouTube, subscribe to James Hershey's YouTube page. Follow us on Spotify now. We're on that. We're going to probably try to get on iHeart, and we're looking into Apple next. That's down the line. And I think we're on Cloud too. You guys want to check us out on YouTube, follow James Hershey's YouTube page on Parax Radio every Sunday nights at 12 a.m. Eastern, 9 Pacific, and the Best of show, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show. We love you, Misfits, Sugar Ladies, Monster Lovers, and Demon Hunters. I love you. And have a good night, motherfuckers. Bless be.
Thank you, brother. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Let me know down in the comment section what you think. It was different. It was interesting, I thought. I enjoyed it. I mean, any excuse to talk about wrestling, dude. I love wrestling. Let me know in the comments what you think. As always, up to you to make up your own mind. We love you, we appreciate you, and we will catch you in the next one. Until I speak to you again. Love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you, and so do I. Bye-bye.